we are here with another Giving Greens Live. Talking to Michelle today about kinesiology. I'll just wait for her to come online. Any minute. Hello. Just waiting for Michelle. There she is.
Hello.
Hello.
How you going?
Hi Michelle, how you going?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. How's your day been?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, of course. Well, thanks for making the time.
Pleasure. Yeah, it's been a good day. A lot of kinesiology in this room right here.
Yeah, of course. Well, let's start with the most obvious question of all. What is kinesiology and how does it work?
It's straight off the bat. Kinesiology, it's a tricky one. No, it's not. I mean, it's complex, but it's profound. So kinesiology, the actual meaning of it is the study of movement within the body. So we study how it all works and how it responds and talks to each other. And the way that we do that is through a technique. The way that kinesiologists use or do that is through a technique called muscle monitoring. So we can use any muscle in the body and work out and feel the tonality change. So the integrity of the muscle will change when the brain is registering particular information or particular stress. So we pick up on that data, we call it, and work out the symptoms of why, hey Shawnee, why they're there.
So it sounds like it's like a super subtle, you pick up on like super subtle changes.
Yeah, super subtle changes. It's super instantaneous because the brain is always, the subconscious brain is always picking up like millions of data messages, as you understand, a second. So it's working out what's relevant, what's not. But when we're working with a client who's coming in with specific stress or in a stressed out state, we can work out from the way that the body is reacting so instantaneously what's triggering that. So it's subtle movements, but when the brain is picking up whether it's something verbal, whether it's something that I look at, whether it's something that the client looks at, whether it's something that like it could be found in any book, and it's all found on there, and the brain registers it super quick, and then we use that as data.
Yeah, right. So how do you learn to pick up on these like really subtle signals? Is it just like over and over again, practice and practice?
Yeah, it's practice, and everybody's body is different. So, and everyone's muscle integrity is different. So it could be super obvious, or it could be just super like subtle. And, you know, guys with, you know, bigger muscles, they're more constricted, but there's some, you know, real lax type muscles. So you just kind of work with it.
Yeah, right.
You pick it up.
What are some of the things that kinesiology can help people with?
Everything. Absolutely everything. Yeah.
Well, what's an example of like a big breakthrough?
Pardon?
What's an example of like a big breakthrough you've helped with a customer, a client?
I really, really love it when clients come in and they're just at their absolute max, and they're just like, I don't know what I can do, where I go from here. Like, I am exhausted, I'm stressed out, I'm short with my kids, I'm, you know, work is like overwhelming, and they're just at that point, they're at their breaking point, and they're just, I just don't know what's going on or where to even start. And it's like it seems to me now so obvious just to ask the body as why it's responding and reacting in that stressed out state. So the biggest, what I never get over is the way that people like they just walk out and they just feel so much more lighter. They just feel so much more lighter in terms of just like letting all that go. And so it's like their anxiousness, they're just like, far out, I can't believe how much I was in that stressed out state, and how much like how much difference it makes when they have it, and they, you know, just walk out feeling lighter and with a sense of clarity too. They're just like, can't believe all of that was playing a part to how I was feeling. Like it didn't seem like much, and it doesn't need to be anything too groundbreaking as such, but if it's accumulating over time, over decade, and it's just underneath the surface, unaddressed, that's the body's trying to get it up and out. So it's finding little ways subtly before it's, you know, like getting really loud, and then that's when the people only respond when it's like breaking point.
Yeah, right. So
yeah, there we go. Got some light.
Oh, I can see you again.
Yeah, sorry, it got a bit darker.
So I guess like when you're working with a client, and obviously you're doing this testing, how do you then say you pick up on something, you notice something subtly, how do you move that from like where it is kind of like, into like consciousness, into like awareness?
Yeah. So what happens is we find it in the client's subconscious body. So the subconscious, it's always happening instantaneous without obviously our conscious mind having an idea. So it's almost like the puppeteer to the puppet. And so when we find out the symptoms that's going on within the subconscious body and bring it to awareness, we're like, all right, so this is a piece of information that's come up. What does that mean for you? And the client, so if they're in a super stressed out state, they may not even know. And so the best thing about it is that we bypass the conscious mind and the constraints that they have formulated, or the coping mechanisms that they have formulated to do their best to address, or do their best to survive in that state. We bypass that and work out what's live in the subconscious that's keeping it active, and address it from there. So it's simply about getting that information up, bringing it to the conscious mind, giving it some awareness to the client, asking the body what it needs to lift it up and out, so it doesn't have those emotional energetic anchors in, so the body can recalibrate, release it and recalibrate to its state of homeostasis, or its best form of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've had a kinesiology experience.
You have?
And I mean, prior to having this session, well, I've had a few sessions, but it was probably the first session that had the greatest impact. And admittedly, I thought it was a bit woo-woo-y.
Totally.
So I went in there, kind of, I lowered, like, just dropped all expectations. I was just going in completely free. And sure enough, like, it wasn't immediate. It wasn't, like, immediately after walking out that it hit me. It was, like, the next day.
Yeah.
Or maybe even a couple of days later.
Yeah.
But it was like, there was something that just kind of clicked, and I was like, whoa.
Exactly.
And then I went back, I was like, I want this again. I think I had too high expectations the next time.
Yeah. Well, the body will only do what it feels safe to do. So it's understandable at the start it only didn't go as high or immediate to begin with for you potentially, and the more we get it done, the more reconnected we are, the more that the body feels safe to dive on in and get those like suppressed emotions out, or the suppressed trauma out, or the suppressed whatever it is out, and not feel like it's going to be super compromised or unsafe. And then you can, you know, have those incredible like light bulb moments of like, oh no shit, is that what that was about? Or I just feel so much better. Like it just, and then you're less in a reactive state, and you have more of a buffer between what you do, or what's presented to you, and how you choose to act.
Mm-hmm. And do you, so say a client has had a realization after a session or something, like how do you sort of guide them post-session? Like how do you help them to come to the realization once they've had that awareness? Mm-hmm. Is there more that you can help them with after that, or is like they're kind of on their own after that?
Well, I mean, it's all about getting someone back to an empowered state where they don't need to rely on me or anybody else. And that's what we're designed to do. But I always like to inform clients that afterwards, like it's a process of things are getting shifted around. We've moved, plucked so much stuff out. The sand is still, metaphorically, setting. So when that happens, like there's going to be stuff that comes on out that may need to be felt before they get released. So it's important to stay tender on you, and it's important to be like open to the process and just allow it to do its thing, and then yeah, you'll just feel so much more at ease when that passes, and just more solid in self, that you're like, cool, all right, I actually don't need whatever it was, those external reliance that I had, because I feel super centered and super solid in myself.
Mm-hmm. Like what? I'm trying to think how to phrase this. Like, do they need to do a lot of, like, say for example, you have a session, something comes up.
Yeah.
Does the client need to kind of go deep and explore that, or can it just be like, oh, there's that thing, I felt this thing, but I feel better now, or like I feel like I can move forward now without necessarily going through and like doing that deep dive into like trauma?
Yeah. Again, like if it's going to be more beneficial, like I have, for example, I have people that I know come and see me that I know and have known before I became a kinesiologist. And, you know, like we hang out. And so sometimes, like, I'll respect everyone, like, obviously everyone's privacy and what they feel comfortable in sharing. And the beauty of kinesiology is that you don't need to, like, blurt out everything. Especially if the body doesn't feel safe to do so. If it's still feeling like, oh, I don't know, attach shame or guilt or whatever to it, and they're just like, I just don't want to verbally express that, but I know it's under there. Same with kids. When I see kids, like they don't have the wisdom to be like, oh, that this happened or whatever. They just know that they're not feeling right in themselves, and it's great because it can be a voice for them. It can be, it provides a voice for what they're feeling, even if it's not actually expressed. It gives them an avenue to express it without it being expressed, or released without it being expressed. Does that make sense? So to answer your question, you don't need to lay it all out if it's not beneficial. If the body is saying, like, you know, you don't need to talk about every part of this situation, just know that whole situation is up, and you thinking about it is reactivating that circuitry energetically, that's quicker, it's efficient, you don't need to word vomit it, and we can move forward in like getting it up and out.
Yeah, right. Well, I found it super interesting, and like, so it was a guy, I was a friend who was a kinesiologist, and I mean, I'm quite open anyway, so I talk about everything.
Yeah, I'm like that too.
But it just felt like this sort of therapy session. I was just laying down, and he's lifting my arms and all sorts of stuff, tapping away, and I'm just talking away. Like I found it fascinating, and definitely felt some sort of benefit from it. But I'm always self-exploring anyway. Like, it's one of my things. I'm always constantly exploring.
There's so much of us to explore. The body holds so much. It's nuts. It blows my mind every time, and you know, I still get it done absolutely regularly. And yeah, now I've gotten to a point. It's not like there's no hook, line, and sinker to any of the beautiful junk that comes out. I'm like, oh no, what? That's still all right. Let's get rid of that again. That's the next layer to what that was. Whereas at the start of it, I was like, don't judge me for the way that now I feel guilty and shameful about it. Like, that was one time in the past. Why are we bringing that up? But now I'm just like, oh, get it out. If it's having an effect on me, I don't want to carry that on.
Yeah. It's amazing. Well, it's amazing how much I think, like, past memories, like, hold us back so much from just our own happiness in any moment. You know, and we block that potential happiness for the future. So I mean, I'm all into, like, dive in, find out what they are, or at least find a way to move past them so that you can, like, open up that potential again for.
Exactly. Like, everything's supposed to be in a state of neutrality. It's what we project on it, whether it's something from the past or what we're anticipating in the future, that makes it something that it is. So the idea is to balance everything, stay in a state of balance, stay in a state of neutrality, and this will be great.
I feel like it's me most of the time. Neutral. Just Switzerland.
Switzerland the whole time. Exactly. The little wave here and there, but the ability to be able to come back to Switzerland.
Yeah. A friend described it to me like, think of a scale like 10 to 0, 0 to like -10 or something. And just like hang around 0, and just like, if you go too far out of the way, like, you want to avoid that, just come back to 0. Yeah, so I'm there. I saw somewhere, maybe on Instagram or your website, you do like remote kinesiology.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? Given that kinesiology is all about like, you know, kinetic touching.
Is it? Is it though?
All right. Now you got to say my mind. God.
It's all about energy, really, and everything is energy. At the end of the day, if we're going all the way in, it's everything is energy. Every table, thoughts, past, all the things, it's all energy. So we can tap into that oneness of energy, that energetic circuitry where I am and where you are, through a proxy. So a proxy, if we can activate that system or that circuitry with the client's permission. So I've got so many clients like all over the world, and I will just use a proxy that would be a model on behalf of their body's form. And so their body, their physical body, and we use it here just to access the information that we do through this model that I've got.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
It's one of those ones that you just kind of have to. I might actually do a live on that and show you how that goes down.
I feel like what I heard was like a video doll.
Is that what you picked up out of that? Yeah. Look, it's how far you want to go. It's super freaking like it's. I had a phone balance today, actually. I was in my bed just chilling with my phone, and my friend kinesiologist, she was doing her magic on me, and it's real. Like there was times I felt like I was getting really just heavy on my own bed as she's moving through stuff and talking it through, and it's because energy, it's efficient. There's no time delay. There's no such thing as time when you're working in energy. It's just right there and then if you tapped right into it. So it's real, and it's like super incredibly powerful, and some people might actually prefer it because they're like, you know, to go to a place, you know, a clinic potentially, sometimes they don't always feel as comfortable in the space maybe, whereas when they're in their own home, they're comfy, they know the parameters, they just feel comfortable, and they are more open to be able to dive in.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a massive believer in like we may not necessarily be able to prove or quantify everything, but I think to think that we know everything about life is ignorant.
No,
like,
God,
there's so much going on that we can't necessarily explain or but I'm a big believer in energy for sure, and I mean, I'm a big fan of like quantum physics and the things that even they can't explain.
There's always going to be that next level.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree entirely.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. There's so many different things. It just kind of blow my mind. But when you have, like, you go in there kind of thinking, this is a bit weird, but then you have that experience, you're like, whoa, like something there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
And the mind just wants to categorize. So it feels safe.
Yeah.
It is. So it's just like, all right, cool. I need to put that in a box. But when we're so working out in the space of, you know, open consciousness where there is no parameter with that, it takes a hot minute to feel comfortable in that initially, and then there's just that innate knowing of like, we are so much more than the constraints that we put on ourselves if we just allow to release that resistance and everything that we thought used to be true, and just always have an inkling that something else is available, there could be something more. It just allows just for a more effortless session, yes, and just I feel like just a more effortless way of living. Yeah,
I agree. Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
How did you end up in kinesiology? Like, why kinesiology?
It kind of, oh my gosh, I didn't even know of kinesiology, like not even 10 years ago. At all. So I'm a yoga teacher, and I started off as teaching yoga, and that was in my mid-20s or just a bit after. And I'd been doing yoga for, you know, six years or so, and so to become a teacher, it didn't seem like it was going to be too much of a step. I was like, cool, all right, I love yoga, it makes sense to me. But then when I started to actually, like when I became a teacher and started to teach at where I was helping out, so Flow Space is where I work, I got riddled with incredible anxiety, like anxiety of being up in front of these people that I've practiced again with for all those years, and just because it was busy classes and just being seen, I'm like, oh my God, it just really, really started to awaken such crippling anxiety. And I'm like, what is happening? So my body was like responding in this stress response, and I'm just like, words wouldn't come out. I'm like, what is going on? And I remember I cried after a class, and I'm like, oh, this is just, why is this so hard? Why is why anywhere else I can do this, but here I'm just like, I'm responding in this particular way. And then I found out I was starting to hear it everywhere, and it turns out that there was a kinesiology college right around the corner from the yoga studio that I was teaching at, and I'm like, I feel like I just need to inquire. I'm hearing about it. And then they had an open day, so I went there, and it blew me away. There was demonstrations, and I'm like, this just, for whatever reason, makes sense to me. Like, if my body is responding in a stress response, instead of outsourcing why that could be, why don't we just ask the body directly? It makes complete sense to me. And so, I started studying that, and it just made more and more sense. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I feel fortunate that I can have this for my kids, because when they are responding, or their body's responding, and they don't have the wisdom to work out what it is, we can just ask the body, and they have that tangible tool, and to know that they've got it all within them. So yeah, I haven't stopped seeking more info about it since. So it's been a journey, but nothing that I actively went out and sought after.
Yeah. So what keeps you going? Like, how would you describe the difference that you want to make in the lives of your clients, all the people that come to see you, at least?
I feel a pull to help. Well, I mean, people that had that riddled with self-doubt and that anxiety or anxious feelings, absolutely, and the feeling of overwhelm, feeling like they need to do everything all the time. That's like so many, if not all of us, we're like, we need to be the mum, the dad, the parent, the wife, the partner, the worker, all the things. We need to be all these little hats, and we're trying to keep all these balls like up in the air, and there's just so much pressure to do more and do more and do more. And I truly believe that we have the right to want everything that we truly desire, but it's got to come from a place, it should come from a place that's of alignment and out of love, and not feeling like if I don't do that, I'm less than, or there's a lack thereof. So I've got a real pull for helping people with that. And I also feel like I want to be able to help people see it's not just woo-woo. And look, I love woo-woo, so I'm cool with that. But I want it to be I want it to be like as mainstream as possible. So it would be my honor to be able to help them, just have this for them, and know that they can still have everything they want, and they're just so deserving of it, but they don't need to come from a place of pushing and such a stressed out, maxed out state.
Yeah, of course. And of course, I guess the way that you help more people, help make kinesiology more mainstream, is by helping more people have that experience.
Yeah.
Like, whoa!
Yeah. That's exactly it. Just trying to get out there. I know, because it is a mind-blowing thing. And like every one of them, they come out and they're like, I don't know what that just was, or what you just did. Like, what the hell happened? And I'm like, how do you even put that in words? Like, it's just because there is no linear path. There's not like, this from 5 years old to whatever this happened. It's just like, that was a bit of that, and then that added to that, and then because you're in a compensated state, this happened and this happened. And so it's like this spider web of all these little things that are just started to get activated more and more and more, and compound and compound and compound. So there's no linear way, really. It's the body knows the most quickest way to efficiently release what it needs to release, so it can come back to its most closest state of homeostasis.
Mm-hmm. And our brains are just such a mess, apparently, of like neurons and all these connections, and one's a smell connected to a place, and it's like we have no idea. Like
totally. And the more that it was charged the time that it happened, so like say for instance stress, the more that's more wired in. So it's just like, all right, cool, that's a solid wiring. I'm gonna make sure that that's what I go down. So it's a lot of unlearning and a lot of unplugging and deactivating that, like those neurological pathways, and recreating new ones that are more in alignment, and more that's like, in from a state of ease and not from a state of stress.
That sounds great. Love
Yeah. Yes. It's a good time.
it. All right, so before I get to my final question, do you want to give yourself a bit of a plug on how people can work with you, find you, that sort of stuff?
I would love to. Thank you. So I'm based out in Hammond Park in the south of the river. I'm based out in Mount Lawley. Hammond Park, I'm based out here in on Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturdays. Mount Lawley's, they can hit me up there on Monday, Thursdays, and just book through. Like, love to get love it to chat, to explain it more, how it can help. You can DM me through Insta. My website is shelmarie.com. And I would love to get you, if you have kids. I love working with kids. Actually, that's one of my other main sources. So yeah, however. Or you don't even need to come in. You can zoom it. You can do it online.
With a video.
Her name's Chloe.
All right, my final. I've got to go on a tangent now. Wait, stop. What does living a happy, healthy life mean to you?
Happy, healthy life to me is just as authentic and vibrant as you can be. Like, happy, healthy will change from day to day. Happy, healthy might look like, going out and having a great wild night out with your girlfriends, to just, coming, during the day or during the week, having rest and or working and eating really well. So I think just whatever rings true to you is the most healthy, happiest way to live.
Mm-hmm. And like from an authentic state, rather than like stressed out and obligatory, like from a state, giving.
Yeah.
Mm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time. We're going to wrap up.
Thanks.
But I appreciate you taking the time to have a chat with me this evening.
Pleasure. Thanks for inviting me on. It was great chatting.
Yeah. Well,
love
hopefully I'll see you around.
Do. Love what you do. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm going to send you a message after this, and I'm going to send you a tray of microgreens.
Thanks.
Next week. That you can enjoy.
Thank you. Didn't do that.
No worries at all.
Get you into some Kinesi. Kinesi is what I call it for short.
Yeah, well, there's always issues to work on.
We all have them for sure.
Excellent. Well, I'll probably take you up on that. I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.